Hello. Hello and welcome everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. Quick introduction, I'm Priyanshu. I'm a developer turned product marketer, and at BrowserStack, I work on the automation product suite, and I'm going to be your host for today. I see a lot of us have started to join in now. Let's do a quick poll to see where everyone is joining in from. Can we have the poll, please? We see answer. Okay. Okay, we're typing answers. That's diverse. That's it. Are we done? Thank you. Thank you for joining in from across the globe, everyone. Thank you so much. Now, before we get started, let's quickly go over the housekeeping items. Today's session will run for 30 minutes. All the participants will be muted to enable speakers to present without interruptions, but there will be a dedicated 10 to 15 minutes of Q&A at the end. You can use the Zoom chat to share your questions. The session is also being recorded, and the recording will be shared with all of you at the end of the session. So let's kickstart the session with Anand, the president of BrowserStack. Let's see what he has to say about how we see the future of testing and what role BrowserStack will play in that. Can we have the video, please?
Thank you for joining in this session. I'm Anand. I run product at BrowserStack and would love to speak to you about the journey and the strategy of BrowserStack. We are moving forward into building out an end-to-end unified testing platform. And our strategy is simple. We want to cover all the testing and development needs for testers, SDETs, front-end devs, anybody who does testing and developers across the SDLC. And as we do it, we are focused on the infrastructure which we built out. We are now focused on building out what we call the test ops platform and then the genres of testing. So in a very simple view, people come in to test either manually or in a low code, no code fashion or an automated fashion. They write their tests and then they have to run and execute their tests. As they run and execute their tests, we want to ensure that we have the best solution to help run and execute, which is what we call as test ops. It includes orchestration, test scaling, identifying the tough problems around test flakiness. And the repository of all test cases, which is our master data, test case management, is very pivotal in this journey. As once we know the test cases, we can provide very deep analytics and insights through our observability product. This entire testing tool chain, which has been highly fragmented for decades, we are bringing this together in our singular test ops platform, which will have at its core test case management, the analytics play with our observability, and end-to-end support for automation, low code, no code, or manual testing through their entire life cycle, right? Of how you select a test, orchestrate the test cases, run it all on our grid infrastructure, or perhaps on your grid itself. Now, very importantly, there's also the entire types of testing, the genres of testing as we call it. People test functional testing, people write visual tests, people write API tests, people write tests for accessibility, and we want to support and we will support all of this, right? So simply put, what we are building is an end-to-end unified test platform that will make all your lives much easier. It will support all types of testing across each way you want to test: manual, low code, no code, or automation, on one standardized platform with one singular data model, one unified view of observability, and one set of end-to-end integrations across your ecosystem and third-party ecosystems. And by that I mean all these products will have just one set of interfaces into your Jira, your Microsoft Teams, Slack, CI pipelines, Jenkins, and so on, right? And that's very key to us. There's only one way as an end developer or tester you'll interact, either through a client or through an SDK. We are going to bring that all together, and that's our promise, and we are delivering a lots of pieces of the promise right now. We already have products in test case management, test observability, test accessibility, mobile performance management, visual testing for apps, all of them available today for you, all of you to try. And we're bringing all of this together. And that's really how we want to make your journey, the customer journey, much better, and make BrowserStack a very integral part of your entire testing journey itself. With that, I would like to hand it over to our technical experts to walk you through how we are bringing this vision to life. Thank you.
Thank you, Anand. With that, we move to the core agenda of the session, test observability. For that, we have with us Saurav, who's the force behind test observability and has conceptualized it from scratch. And in this session, he'll share with us why we are building test observability and how test observability can be of value to you. Saurav, would you like to say a few words about yourself?
Thanks, Priyanshu. Hey everyone, I'm Saurav. I'm the product manager. We have been building this product for last 6 months, I would say. And before that, I was the product manager for our automation product, right? The app automate products. And prior to that, actually, I was a embedded systems engineer writing code for nuclear reactors. So from writing code for nuclear reactors to building product for automation engineers. So that's what I'm doing right now.
Okay, so speaking of test reporting, let's first start with a question, and you'll again see a poll on your screen. Which tools do you use for your test reporting and analytics? Wow, so yeah, more than half of us are using open source reporters. Okay, I think, are we done? No. Okay, so let's move to why we asked that question. How's that question related to test observability, and what is test observability? Think of it like this. What you use New Relic or Splunk for, which is application monitoring. Similarly, test observability is what you will use for test suite monitoring. like you use application monitoring tools to debug your application issues, you would use test observability to debug your test failures. But is this of any use? Do you need a full-fledged product for this? Are your current reporting tools, most of you, let's say, are using open source reporting tools, are they not enough? Why did we build test observability? So let's have Saurabh walk us through why we decided to build test observability.
Right. So before starting this journey, right, we realized that we talked to a lot of people and we realized that test automation engineer's core job is to write automation test scenarios. You write it in some language or some BDD scenarios. The core job is to write scenarios, not to spend time debugging what happened with those scenarios, not to try and break your head over why are 40% of my test cases failing. Do I even know which of these are flaky? Do I even know where to start debugging? Do I even know what should I do to improve the health of testing, right? So they should take that headache out. We should help them take that headache out, right? And that is where we started conceptualizing test observability, which is actually built to solve all those problems away, so that automation engineers need not spend all their time trying to debug issues. They should be able to now spend more of their time writing new automation test scenarios, so that you can, at the end of the day, you want robust production code, right? You don't want bugs to creep into production. So that's what we want to help you achieve.
Makes sense. Thank you for helping lay the foundation. Now, can you tell a bit more about the process of building it? How did you narrow down on this being the exact solution?
Right. So we started with this just one small problem statement, right? The problem statement was, every day in the morning, let's say an automation engineer comes to office, they want to see what happened with my last night's regression. I have run like 2,000 cases. How many of them have failed? I want to debug whether those are genuine failures. And if they're not genuine failures, then I'll give a go ahead to the PRs that were sent on the last night's regression, right? This is just one example. You could do this for sanity jobs. You could do this for any feature release that you want to do, right? Now, with that problem statement, we started talking to lots and lots of end customers in the market, right? And we realized that, okay, debugging is a need, right? It's a latent need. There's no tool which is solving this problem, and people are actually building their own custom solutions. Like I think many of you have also said in the poll, right? So many of you have actually built custom dashboards or internal tooling to help you solve few of these issues, right? But there is nothing standard out there which solves all of these issues holistically. Hence, after talking to lots and lots of people, we got a bunch of problem statements, and we are still getting problem statements as we talk to the users of test observability. So that's how we narrowed down on this being the solution, that the one that we'll be showing you today. And this is not the end of it, by the way. We just started building it like 6 months, right? We will make it a far more robust solution out there. And this is the one thing that we'll ever need when it comes to understanding why a test case has failed, or what can I do about the problems or issues in my test suite. So yeah.
Got it. So you spoke about many problem statements that you received when learning from users or customers. But what, according to you, is the top problem that test observability will solve?
So the top problem, I think I'll share my screen. I'll talk about it, and I'll start sharing my screen as well, because I want to start showing you the product while I speak about it, right? So the top problem is debugging. You wake up in the morning, you come to office, you see that, okay, there are 100 tests that have failed. You have to go through each of them and understand what are the genuine test failures. Genuine as in like really because there is some issue on the code, like backend code. And if there is a genuine issue, you would want to send the PR back to the developer. And if not, you would want to give it a go ahead, right? That is a time-taking process. And we want to simplify that time-taking process. So that was the most important problem that we wanted to solve. And I'll show you how we are solving this problem, right? So I'll quickly share my screen. So what I have here is this is test observability. I have run a bunch of automation runs. Like you can see, right? Sanity, regression. These are some of the runs I'm doing. And let's say I have all these runs, and today I've just logged in. I want to see what happened with the last regression that I've run, right? The 132. Okay. So let's take a quickly sneak peek at what has happened. So it has run from Jenkins 148. I can quickly go back to Jenkins by clicking here and see. And by the way, this Jenkins is like running on my local host. So I can go to my local host Jenkins as well from test observability. I know that, okay, there are 119 flaky test cases. There are 61 of them that are always failing. So these are like problems, right? And this is not only problem, these are noise as well. Like you don't care about always failing. Look, you do care about it, but you would not care about it on a daily context basis because it's always failing. You know that this is not something that has failed because of your code change that was pushed last night. So this is something different, right? You can safely ignore these failures. There are performance anomalies and whatnot, right? You go inside and see, okay, what we have here are a set of insights that got generated from that particular run. So this is regression run number 132, and these are the insights from that run. This was run like today, just a while back. It took 5 minutes. You can actually go back to the Git commit as well. So you can just click on it and check what was the code change that was introduced. And we maintain that code change mapping with each run, right? There are a bunch of other metadata, and then once you go down, you see, okay, that summary and then always failing test. Each of these are clickable, right? The moment you click on it, you will be taken to the report. So now this is the insights, and then we have a report. So you have a quick sneak peek at the history as well, like this particular regression. How has it been running over the last 10 runs, right? You can set alerts and give certain thresholds to those alerts. And whenever those alerts are hit, you get notified. So this is just one alert I'm showing you here, but you can set a bunch of different kinds of alerts. What we have here is unique error automatic analysis. What this does is, let's say you have 97 tests that are failing, right? So in a normal scenario, you would have to go and debug, let's say, like a bunch of you have said, right? You use Allure or some open source reporter or a test framework's native reporter. Your native reporter will not club issues into and tell you that, okay, you know what? All these 50 test cases have failed because the sign-in button was not visible on the website. So it's not really 50 failures. It's just one failure. The sign-in button was not there. And that's why 50 test cases failed. This is what unique error auto analysis does for you. It will actually, this is based on some machine learning models, and then they are able to classify errors based on similarity. So when I say this particular assertion error, this error was responsible for 48 test cases failing. This is a common cause failure, right? You go deep inside, okay? So you can actually see what all are the test cases that have been failing, right? These are all the test cases that are failing. And likely they are failing because of the same reason. So you can just click on one of them and start your debugging from here itself, right? Now, this is a debugging journey that we're solving for. We call this timeline debugger. I'll show this to you in different contexts multiple times in today's demo. But in a nutshell, what this debugger does is it has videos of the entire test suite. In the video, you see where all exceptions have occurred. It also shows you logs, right? All kinds of logs from all different sources and are coming here. Like, for example, this is a JavaScript console log, error log, right? We have screenshots and we have actual assertion error coming from the test framework that you're using, right? So if I have to quickly show you what all different kinds of logs we capture, logs from your terminal with different log levels, you can filter out log levels, logs from the test framework, logs from actually the device or the browser that where you're running the test, network logs, and even the backend application logs. Now that's interesting, right? So let's say you are running the test case against a staging application, staging or pre-prod application. You can actually go and instrument your pre-prod or staging application. And whenever there is a stack trace or error occurs in the backend application code, you can send that application, you can actually instrument that service and send those logs to BrowserStack test observability. And when you do that, we maintain the mapping and we show you in this timeline. So imagine you see assertion failure here, But just before the failure, there was some actual backend stack trace coming from some line of code that got introduced in a PR. Now, how cool is that? So you will be able to do root cause analysis of a test failure just from this timeline debugger. And if you feel that, okay, this is not enough, I want to see what is happening with this test case 5 days back, you can actually traverse back in time right here. You can go back in time and debug the same test case or look at the logs of the same test case. It could be a passing test case as well. You may want to go and check the same test case. When it passes, how does the video look? How does the steps look, right? You can do that comparison right from the screen. And when you have ascertained yourself that, okay, this is a failure and I know what the cause is, all you have to do is come here and update the failure category. Let's say it was a environment issue. You just select all of them together and apply it. What it does is it takes this as an input to the machine learning analyzer. So since you have done the manual analysis today and marked this issue as an environment issue, in future, if the same error is seen, the machine learning based analyzer will automatically categorize the issue into an environment issue. So this one-time debugging that you did today, you will not have a need to do that as well from tomorrow onwards. So effectively, you had to debug 48 times. Now today you had to debug 1 time. Tomorrow onwards it's 0. So remember I talked about time to debug your entire run? Like that is gone, right? So that's the power of unique error auto analysis. We also have build stability and the machine learning based analysis I was talking about, right? This is the quick summary of that, right? So there are 97 failures, 63% of them are product bugs. You might like, this is the engine telling you, right? You can go and verify for yourself as well, right? And we also have something called run summary. Now, this is another cool thing that no other reporter in the market or no other open source tool will give you, right? Let's say you do one run and then you do a rerun and then you do a second rerun. So now you have 3 reports. We don't want that, right? It's one regression run. You want one report. You want one report with the latest results. You can do that with test observability. You can automatically merge multiple runs into one single run, and the results of the merged run will come at the top, right? So the latest result of a test after multiple reruns is what you'll see. At the same time, you will be able to go back and filter them by runs as well, like first run, second run, third run. You can do that. And the last thing on this page is failure by folder. Now, this is a heat map. What this heat map does is it tells you that, okay, you have 2000 test cases, but one single engineer is never responsible for all those 2000 test cases, right? So it's like there are different modules. Maybe there is a login module, there is a checkout module, there is some functionality XYZ module, right? And generally, people structure their test suites also in different folders, like each module is a folder. What you have here is the report dissected into different modules. And let's say this module has 75 test cases with 22 failures. You can actually drill down into this module alone. So imagine you are an automation engineer. Sorry, there's some glitch. Imagine you are an automation engineer. You can apply a module filter and look at the report for that module alone. You need not look at 5,000 test cases in the report. So that will become your view. You need not see everything else, right? And if you want, you can see them as well, right? Now, this is the report I was referring to. We were just a while back, we were on the insight page. Insights are a way for you to quickly check what's happening, 2 minutes. But this is the report. You can compare it with your open source report or whichever framework report you have, right? Now, what this report has is, okay, what was the test case name? You may have multiple describe it blocks inside the describe blocks. You may have cucumber scenarios like feature, then you have scenarios inside a feature. We support all hierarchies, by the way. Like if you have describe inside a describe and then describe inside another describe, you will see different hierarchies coming up over here. You can collapse all hierarchies and look at everything at a bird's eye view as well. Or you may want to deep dive into each thing also. Inside, what we have is you can actually go back to the code as well. No framework reporter will give you this. You can just click on it. This will take you to the GitHub code of that feature. This is the logging.feature file. If there's something that has changed on the code, you can quickly take a sneak peek at the code, right? You can also see, okay, which browser it ran on, how many, okay, one test passing, one failing. This was an environment issue. What is the stack trace? Okay. If there are tags that you like at the rate, then there are tags that you pass on your code, right? We support all those tags. You can filter the test by tags. We also have a quick history of that particular test case. Last 10 runs. How has it been performing? Is it passing or failing? For this as well, right? And you can open the timeline debugger from here as well. Like if you want to debug further that what's happened, right? And let's say you already determined that, okay, this is a failure. I want to create a Jira ticket. You can do it from here. You can directly create a Jira issue in any project and select any issue type and just file that bug. Now you might wonder that, okay, what's so cool about creating a Jira ticket? You may just go to your Jira and create a ticket, right? So there are two advantages. One, you need not populate a lot of details. Everything is pre-populated. That's one. And the more cool thing about it is tomorrow when you come back and run the same test case, we maintain the mapping. So you will come and see, okay, there is a test case that is failing, but there is also a Jira ticket that is not closed yet. So you need not do anything else. You can just see, okay, this test case ran, but the issue was actually dev in progress. So it's not closed yet. So this is expected to fail. It's not going to pass. So that's the benefit of having a Jira integration right from test observability. Also, there's something called muting as a functionality. What this means is, let's say, okay, this is a noisy report, right? There are so many always failing test cases. There are so many flaky test cases. You want to clean that noise out so that you see only genuine test failures and nothing else. You might want to actually mute such test cases which are noise for you, right? When you mute them, your test got muted successfully. If I just refresh this page, you will see that 97 failures. Actually, your failure count has now become 96 because one test case you just muted. So you have effectively reduced noise. And you can keep on muting test cases, and we will soon support bulk muting also as a functionality. So you can mute multiple test cases. But you know what? These test cases are not actually like getting skipped. They will still run. So if you go to Insights, you will see that, okay, I have 4 muted test cases. Anytime you can go back and check what is happening with these muted test cases. And once you've fixed those muted stuff, you can actually unmute them back and include them back in your report, right? So that's the muting functionality. We have one more thing that we have seen that users tend to do from time to time, right? And that's rerun. You want to rerun the test case. You're not sure whether this is a failure, genuine failure or not. You desperately want to rerun that test case to understand, to ascertain yourself, like, I'm not doing anything wrong. This is really a failure. We support rerun from test observability directly. You need not do anything else for that. You can maybe rerun just single test case or maybe all failed test cases. Let me just show you what it does. Rerun triggered. What's happening, if I take you to my Jenkins is actually running on my local host. You see that there is a rerun that got triggered just now. Now, how cool is that? Like, observability, which is a SaaS product, is able to trigger a job on Jenkins, which is running on my local host machine. Yeah. So you can rerun, and once the rerun completes, you will see that the same build 132 will get updated. We'll not create 133 because this is a rerun. It's not a new run, right? So with that, you can actually traverse the entire report, go through each category, whatever is to be like needless to say, right? I didn't show you like search filters, like basic stuff. Like every dashboard gives you search and filter. I'm not showing you that. We support all of that. You can dissect the report the way you want, right? And with the usage of this new generation dashboard, I would say new generation reporting tool, you can effectively cut down on the debug time. You need not spend hours on analyzing what's happening, right? So Priyanshu, getting back to you, right? This is the top problem we are solving with test observability.
Yeah, it seems like you simplified test debugging by multiples here. Okay, so moving on, if let's say I want to understand the test data at a global level, for example, what are the most persistent issues in my test suite? Is that something that I can use test observability for?
Right. So actually, you were asking the questions which the first few interviews I did, those were the questions asked by the customer. Well, how do I do this? So now we realized that, okay, this is a debugging of one particular run, right? One particular regression, sanity, or any run you're doing, right? That's fine. We solved it. What about what are all the issues that I have in my test suite? How do I know which are the top issues that are plaguing my test suite? That is plaguing quality. So we have built suite health dashboards to help solve that problem. Now, what test suite health means is we have segregated it into two parts, right? One, we tell you, or we show you all the test cases that you have in your project. It may be 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000, a million, right? So all the test cases that you have in your test suite, ordered by the failure rate as per the time selected by you. You may want to see, okay, what are the top failing test cases across the last 30 days in my project? You can get to see that from this dashboard. And once you have identified, okay, what are the top failing test cases, you might want to, okay, let's say you selected this one, like verify BrowserStack logo wrapper details. Like you want to see what's happening with this test case. You just click on it. We will show you the entire history of that test run's execution. Now this graph shows you the red, obviously, is the failing occurrences, and the green is the passing. Now this is a red, green, red, green. This is a flaky test case, right? And our flakiness engine is also telling that it's flaky, right? Now imagine this is not flaky. Imagine this is a perfectly healthy, it was a perfectly healthy test suite, but it started becoming flaky at some point of time. Now, I have 1 month data. Very soon we'll have 1 year and up to 2 years of data. So you will be able to look at a year worth of data and see where the problem started. This graph will tell you where it started. You can actually zoom into this graph at the point of interest, identify where the problem started, and launch the timeline debugger again. The same timeline debugger that I showed you, like the video, the logs, and the screenshots, and everything, right? All different kinds of logs. So this is timeline debugging married with time travel debugging. So you can travel back in time, go back to the root cause where it all started, and get to the bottom of the issue. So you can do both of these two things together using Suite Health dashboards, right? And the second part of Suite Health is obviously unique errors. So there are a lot of, like, internally within BrowserStack, we have a 45, 50 people QA team. They tell me, sort of, all this is good, but you tell me which are the top errors. That's the biggest problem I have, right? So that's what we have built, right? So this unique error dashboard tells you what are the top errors that are occurring across your project, right? Let's say function timed out, some promise didn't resolve in like 10 seconds. That's the problem. It has occurred 1900 times. That's really big, right? You want to see what's happening, what all test cases are being impacted. So now these are all the test cases that are being impacted these many number of times across so many platforms, right? You can go deeper and see, okay, this particular error across this test case has happened so many number of times. And again, you can go deeper from here as well. And needless to say, you might guess, right? Timeline debugger again from here, right? You can actually, what we're doing is we are enabling you to debug, and we are enabling you to debug from multiple facets, from an error point of view, from a test point of view, from a run point of view, from pretty much all points of view, right? So that's how Priyanshu, automation engineer, will be able to identify what all are the top issues in a test suite. They will be able to prioritize using this tool. They'll be able to go and understand where the problem started and where the problem lies so that they can fix it using this tool. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, super sophisticated, I would say. That pretty much takes care of all the use cases for QA engineers on a day-to-day basis and also over time. If we had to speak about the use cases for, let's say, QA leaders, such as the head of QA or QA directors, are we trying to solve that also with test observability?
Right. So this was not something originally a problem statement, right? But as we talk to more and more leaders, we realize, okay, debugging is a core problem for engineers, but we also have an adjacent problem for leaders. They want visibility. They want to understand. They want to measure quality. Is quality improving over time? Is it improving as much as they want over time? And hence we created the testing trends as a solution to that problem. Now, this testing trends dashboard, what this solves for you is that it gives you a sneak peek into what's happening latest, like the latest sanity, latest regression, latest P1, whatever different kinds of jobs you have. It shows you a glimpse of the latest run. And this is a navigation tool as well. You can actually click on it and go back to the latest run. It shows you the flakiness trends over a period of time. Is it improving, not improving? You can actually, like, imagine this is currently we're looking at only 7 days of data, but imagine you're looking at 2 years of data. You will be able to see spikes in the data. You will be able to drill down into this data. You will be able to zoom into this data. You can do all of that with this data. And it also serves as a visibility tool. And mind you, like, you can also debug. You can also actually, we've not built that functionality yet. It's a work in progress, but you can actually drill down into each of these data points. And if someone wants to debug by drilling down, they can do that as well, right? So the next thing is stability. That's one of the core QA quality metrics, I would say, like stability of your runs, right? So we keep a tab of stability as well of different kinds of runs and also the entire project. We measure performance as well. How much time is like your builds are taking how much time. We measure that. We report that. We also show you the failure categories, like how they have been trending over a period of time, new failures over a period of time, always failing test cases, the growth in the number of unique test cases. So this is a very interesting metric, right? So QA teams are expected to write new scenarios from every time, right? So that you are improving like the robustness of the testing as a whole, right? So this will tell you that, okay, are you really adding newer scenarios as time progresses, right? You also see the run frequency, like how many number of times you're running those runs, total volume of test executions. This can also be used as a planning tool. Like, okay, over the last 1 year, you did so many executions. It took so much time. It took so much CI resources. Now you can extrapolate this using this graph that, okay, how much of CI resources and how much of money would I need to spend on CI in the next year? So you can use this as a planning tool as well. And last but not the least, we have the spread of cross-browser testing that you're doing, right? You can get a feeling of that for each project that you have. And like, this is again like to reinforce, this is 6 months of work. We are just starting. We are not done yet. So there are so many more problems that we want to solve, and this will improve over a period of time. We'll add more features, functionalities over a period of time. So yeah, that's testing trends for you.
Thank you, Saurabh. This is so comprehensive. And how does one get started? I think you mentioned sometime few minutes back that all this was possible in just a few minutes.
Yes. So any test reporter or any custom tool, to be able to configure it rightly, properly, one would need to spend a few weeks, if not days, minimum. That's the bare minimum. But test observability can be set up in less than 2 minutes flat, right? And we have customer testimonials for that. I'll show you how. Let's say I have a WebDriver IO test suite. And okay, I didn't mention this maybe. Test observability can be used for tests running anywhere, right? Your tests need not be running on BrowserStack. They could be running on a CI machine, on your local laptop, on any other cloud provider. It could be running anywhere. If they're running on BrowserStack, you follow these steps. If they're not running on BrowserStack, you just have to install one npm package that takes a few seconds. You have username access key, and This is all you have to copy and paste in the WebDriver config file. That's it. There's nothing else you have to do. This is like 5 lines of code change, less than 2 minutes. And the moment you do that, you get all of test observability that I was showing you.
Wow. Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much. So we see that this product is already packed with so many capabilities. Is there anything that you've not built or you're planning to build? And how are you planning to improve the user's experience from what is already there today?
Right. So yes, so that brings me to the roadmap, right? So this is how, like, okay, we have the roadmap on the screen. Nice, thanks. So last couple of months, we have been focusing on revamping the UI, revamping the experience. Now we're getting started with building support for more and more test automation frameworks. We are launching Cypress, Playwright, Nightwatch, and you can also upload JUnit reports. If you're generating some JUnit reports, you can just upload them and have pretty much all of observability using JUnit report upload as a function, right? These things we're releasing this month, and I've not repeated frameworks in the different months, but we will be releasing more and more support for different automation frameworks as we progress over time, right? And some of the features that we're building is we're focusing on collaboration needs, right? So when one engineer is debugging, they might want to take help from another engineer. Okay, imagine that. Okay, at a particular point in the video, you want to tag someone. Okay, @Priyanshu, can you check this out? And then Priyanshu gets notified. So that's collaboration. We want to build sharing functionality, downloading of report functionality. We want to build seamless integration with your Slack or MS Teams or those communication tools, right? We want to build more advanced capabilities, like we will be having host metrics, application metrics, CI metrics, like what is the CPU utilization, what's the RAM utilization while your test was running, right? So that you have even more visibility into tests, right? We want to also have entire end-to-end tracing of tests, test compare, build compare. So the list is endless. What you see here is just a small segment of all we have in plans for test observability.
Okay, got it. So we've already built a lot and plan to build so much more. How are you validating what you're building? What are the users saying?
Okay, so a few things, right? Few things users have been saying. So it's really cool because I did not have to spend any time. Like it's like 2 minutes, 3 minutes of my time. People are loving the timeline debugging feature. People are like, one guy told me that this is one of the most matured testing tools built for QAs I have seen in the recent past. So these are some of the verbatim feedback that we have been getting from users, right? And that gives us a huge pump to continue to deliver such features. And okay, mind you, that when they're giving this feedback, at the same time they're giving us 2 more feature requests, which is good, right? So it's a positive validation that we are solving those problems, and hence they're asking for more, and we are doing those for them.
That's solid feedback, yes, definitely. And this is what everyone can also gain from test observability. And you can make your tests more reliable continuously. Now, before we open the floor for Q&A, we'd love to know if you'd like to explore test observability for your team. And you'll very soon see a poll on your screen. Please do vote if you'd like to explore. Okay, great.
I think we have 60%. We have 60% people voting, right? We want all of you to vote. Go for it, guys. If it's a no, it's a no, but go for it.
Yes, I think we're done with the poll. Everyone's done. Okay, we'll start with the Q&A then. Okay, so the top question was, How can I access my test report in BrowserStack? And can I send it to my email every time there is an execution?
Oh, I didn't show you guys. There is an email integration already. So you can actually set up the email integration. You can add as many people as you want to send it to. So whenever the build completes, all the post processing completes, we know that how many are flaky, how many are always failing, and all of that. We create a nice looking PDF report and we send it to you on email. So that is already solved.
Wow, awesome. Moving to the next one. Can the observability product also track test length over time? In case of environment issue, in case an environment issue is slowing the test rather than just failing it, or if the code changes to the app are causing the test to be slower. Okay, so can it track test length time and report accordingly? Okay, that.
Yes, it can. Not 100%. That is like we want to holistically tackle performance as a problem in the coming few months. But to answer this question, yes, it can. The suite and you can it's a 60% of a solution, and but we will be holistically solving the performance problems as well.
Okay. Next one is it only available for front-end scenarios, as we have a lot of API scenarios which don't run on browsers?
Oh,
How will we capture that?
nice that I have this question, right? So yes, I forgot to mention, this is any kind of test, unit test, integration test, API test, you name it, anything, right? And this test can be running anywhere. I've already mentioned, right? So all the prerequisite is the framework. We should be supporting the framework. Let's say when I say test observability supports test ng, Java test ng, you could be writing unit tests in Java test ng, API test, doesn't matter. If I support test ng, we support everything that test ng supports. As simple as that.
Perfect. Okay. The next one is, does test observability support JUnit?
We do support JUnit reports, but JUnit framework, that is a work in progress. It should be coming out sometime in the next month. In the month of June, we'll get JUnit support as well.
Okay. Can we have a list of longest running tests or tests whose execution time has increased? This is similar to what we answered a few minutes back. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's a similar question. Yes.
Okay.
Longest running test, yes, it is supported already. Longest running test you can get.
What if we are using test ng with class level driver initiation, and in report you create report on @test level?
Class level driver initiation.
Yes.
Test observability has got nothing to do with driver initiation. You could be initiating your driver anywhere. You could as well be initiating one driver for the entire test suite. You will not see one test case. We will see test cases at a class level and method level. So what I showed you, you will see the class level at the top, and then individual method are your test case. Does that answer the question? I hope it does.
Okay. Just a minute. Okay, you mentioned that Jira as a test management tool is supported. Do we also support Azure DevOps test cases?
We don't support it yet, but we do have plans to support it. Azure DevOps as a bug reporting tool. Yes.
Okay. And do we add attachments to Jira tickets? Attachments like videos, logs, links?
The entire the place from where it is getting created, the entire context of that will get as description of the ticket. So anyone who opens up that Jira ticket will be able to click on that link and open up the dashboard. So and we do not price our products on the basis of users. You could add 1,000 users, 2,000 users. It's not going to cost you more or anything. So we encourage everyone in your organization, in your team, to get started with test observability and use it internally as collaborate also with test observability. So you can just click on the Jira link, and then within the Jira ticket there's a link, and then you click on it and you can come back to test observability with all the logs, all the videos, all the reports, everything.
Okay. Last few questions before we wrap up. How does Rerun have access to the CI?
Okay. So what we need is Jenkins. Let's say you have a Jenkins instance. We need a username and auth key, your auth key, and that has to be configured in test observability. The moment we configure it, your integration is set, right? You can start using Rerun as a function.
Okay. Got it. Someone is asking, how do we enable this? We are already using BrowserStack in a company, but only a few tests are displayed under test observability.
Only a few tests. I'm not sure I got the question. So, okay.
Yeah.
I think we can share the documentation. I can do that right away on the Zoom chat. We can follow the documentation, and you should be able to get started with pretty much all test cases that you have. And if you face an issue, then please raise a ticket with our support team, and we'll get back to you and resolve the issue.
Okay, so there's an interesting question on this one. How about importing some of these metrics into other dashboards like Datadog, which contain other application metrics as well?
Sorry, can you please repeat the question?
How about importing some of these metrics into other dashboards like those in, let's say, Datadog, which already have application metrics as well?
So we do not have any APIs to export the data that we are generating so far. And we do not have it on the roadmap also, because we intend test observability to be one single solution for all the testing needs, right? But yes, we are open to evaluate whether exposing all these metrics through an API endpoint makes sense, and we're open to it. We might evaluate it in the future.
Okay. What does build health actually mean?
Build, it's actually suite health. So your entire project health rather, right? So health could mean many things, right? For someone, health could mean, okay, what's the stability? What's the passing rate of my entire test suite? Is it passing 90% of the time, 95% of the time, or is it like 40% of the time? That could be one meaning of health. The other meaning of health could be, okay, let's say I have a strong definition that my test cases should not take more than 5 seconds, let's say, right? If I have a lot of test cases that are too long, they're slow, that could also mean poor health of test case, right? And pretty much like failure rate, slowness, that's what is health, right? Flakiness of test cases. All these are bad, really, all these are bad metrics. So when these are bad, you know that health is not good. So think of it like the suite health dashboard. That's a doctor. That's a doctor for your test suite. The doctor will tell you, it'll tell you the symptoms that okay, you have so many. These are the problems, and if you have a lot of bad symptoms, that means your health is not good. So that's how we'd like to put it.
Okay. Yes. Can we compare and analyze all the runs in one place like a dashboard? A simple use case would be to check the test coverage. Compare and analyze all the runs in one place in a dashboard.
I think that is already possible, right? You have different, like if you do 100 runs, you can see all those 100 runs. If you want to compare 2 runs side by side,
yes, that's
the feature. That's the feature on the roadmap. So I was just talking about that feature, right? So we will be building it, but in the roadmap, we don't have it yet.
Okay. I haven't seen the ability to delete mistaken test case executions or divide the execution by category, like environment tests or staging of production of a test development execution. Is there a plan to better classify test runs? Okay, classify test
yes.
runs. So okay.
I got the question. So what we already support something called build level or run level tagging. So let's say you are running a entire regression or sanity from targeted to pre-prod, and another you are targeting on let's say your staging. You could specify that as a tag, and we do have filtering abilities by tags, and we'll soon have views also. You will be able to save your own view. Let's say you create a view called pre-prod, and you in the view definition, you specify that whenever there is a tag called pre-prod, add all the runs from that tag, and that's my view, right? So you can have different views, custom views that you create, and you can come back to those views whenever you want. So that way you can categorize. That's one way to categorize. There could be other ways of categorizing, like you could have a different project altogether. Like pre-prod has a different project, staging has a different project. You could also do by naming. So when I say regression, in the name itself, you could say this is pre-prod regression, or this is let's say a different environment and then regression. So there are multiple ways you can categorize, and I think it's more than enough that you would need to categorize different kinds of runs.
Got it. I'll take one more question, last one. Does observability send a report via mail, for example, when there's an error or a failure?
It does. Like I mentioned, we already have an email integration. So you can just set it up. It doesn't send by default, by the way. We don't want to be intrusive. So we will have to go and enable it. So we don't want to spam you. So if you've enabled it, you will get it.
Got it. Okay, so for there are actually questions coming in continuously. We'll try to answer each and every one of those, and we'll reach out to you and answer those. But for now, thank you everyone for joining in. Before we conclude this, one last thing, we have a webinar coming up on the 30th of May, where we'll be discussing BrowserStack's newly launched accessibility testing solution that will enable you to make accessibility a hassle-free priority. Please feel free to register yourself through the QR code or through the link in the chat. Is there a link? Yes. Okay, great. There is a link. Okay, thank you. Thank you everyone for joining in. And see you again next time for the next webinar.